Hello everyone, it's Alythia, and just yesterday we received some massive updates about Woozworld's policy changes, and I full-heartedly agree with them. But first, let's read the post. Hey Woozens, we have some important news to share about upcoming changes to Woozworld in the next few weeks. Woozworld will soon become a 16+ experience. Don't worry, we will walk you through what this means and why we're making this change. Woozworld is celebrating its 16th anniversary this year. Over that time, many of you have grown up with us, and the community today is mostly made up of older teens and young adults. That's why we're evolving Woozworld to follow our audience and make sure the experience fits who you are now. A key driver behind this decision also came from your voices in the 2024 end-of-year survey. One of the strongest recurring messages was that the chat filter felt far too restrictive when trying to talk with others, since it was originally designed with a younger audience in mind. If you're 16 or older, nothing about your favorite features is going away. You'll still have access to everything you know and love in Woozworld. The main difference you'll notice is in the chat filter. The chat filter will be much less strict than before. Everyday expressions that used to get blocked too easily should now go through. Some messages will still be blocked if they contain very inappropriate content or attempts to share personal information. This new filter is a work in progress. We'll keep adjusting it as we see how you use it and based on your feedback in the future. We know many of you are already young adults, and we trust you to use this freedom responsibly. But remember, even though the filter is less strict, bullying, hateful speech, harassment, or any other inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated. Our moderation systems and sanctions will remain in place, and we're counting on you to set the right example and keep Woozworld a respectful community. What's coming next for 16+? We're also planning for the future. In time, you'll see new ways to connect Woozworld with social media, like sharing directly to Instagram. These options aren't ready just yet, but they are on their way. If you're under 16, your experience will be more limited. You'll still be able to play, create, and decorate, but we unfortunately have to remove most of the social features. No more private chat, no Woozen access, no photo albums, no creating or sharing visual novels or trivias, no social contests. You'll still be able to use a predefined list of public chat messages to communicate, but you only see other players' predefined chat messages in return, not the free chat from older Woozens. The good news is that the moment you turn 16, all the social features will automatically unlock and you'll gain access to the full Woozworld experience again. How to check your age. Not sure how your account is set up? You can check your registered birthday anytime in the account section of your Woozen. If it says age over 16, you're all set. We know these changes are big and you want more information. These changes will make Woozworld a stronger community as it continues to grow with you and is open to new audiences. We will continue to work on these changes as the first release happens in the next few weeks for all of you. Thank you for celebrating 16 years with us, and here's to an older future. As for when the exact switch will happen, stay alert. The answer will reveal itself soon. Wooz staff. The news seems to be received rather well by the community, with a lot of people celebrating the change, although there are a few comments here and there about how this is unfair to kids under 16, and this was to be expected in my opinion. There were some alarming comments though, which I will briefly go over shortly as well, but let's just talk about the main thing first. With the recent tensions in the kid-friendly gaming space and the lawsuits that have come from the whole situation, I personally think that this decision is great, and it was honestly about time. As the post acknowledges, a huge part of the player base has grown up with Woozworld, so most of us are now older teens and young adults. This means that the manner in which a lot of us communicate may not be entirely family-friendly, and over the couple of years that I've played this game, I have indeed noticed countless people semi-censoring what they say so that they bypass the filters. In some cases, they should have been able to say what they wanted to say, and in others, absolutely not, especially with kids around. Some people suggested making an 18+ only server, and I get it. I understand why this would sound good, but I don't think this will happen, nor do I think it would be great for the game. As some of you may know, server costs are currently very high, and this game is quite niche as it is, for better or for worse. But not only that, labeling a game as 18+ on its own would paint the platform in a different way, and it would imply inappropriate content even though that will not be the case. And no, it shouldn't be assumed, but this is the internet that we're talking about. I can't know for certain, but it is my personal opinion that this is why they chose 16 plus, not 17 plus or 18 plus, but 16 plus. I do believe that units specifically for 16 plus could be good, although Woozworld has now made it clear that under 16 players will no longer be able to read free chat messages from older users. Instead, they'll only see and use predefined messages, so technically, younger players won't be exposed to grown-up conversations anymore, which is a very good move. Still, having designated spaces could help reinforce that separation and make moderation easier. And mods. Holy mods. I think that would be the best decision, just to have some hidden or visible mods in the most popular rooms at all times. And I was going back through my video ideas from over 2 years ago at this point, and this was a point that I wanted to make as well, just more moderation. Regardless, there are indeed players under 16. If the servers were separated, that means that one day when said players turn 16, they would no longer be able to talk or see the people that they've talked to, even if they're about to turn 16 in a month themselves. Additionally, having a newly turned 16-year-old, or 18-year-old if we want to entertain that idea, talking to a bunch of kids on a kid-only server would also be 1. Weird, and 2. Impossible, since Woozworld already specified that the change will be automatic for individuals who turn 16 after this gets implemented. It would simply not work in the long run. And from the post, I personally interpret that as them insisting on not creating separate servers, which again, I think is the better decision out of the two. This brings up another issue, however. Let's say that they take measures so that players can prove they're above a certain age, in this case 16 plus, something like an ID verification or similar, and other platforms have begun doing this. And let's say they make a separate server so that the restrictions are not as heavy on the 16-year-olds, and, well, 16 and under, I guess. What about people who pretend that they're under 16? What kind of measures are there going to be to prevent older people from lying that they're younger just to get to talk to kids? If there are separate servers so that kids are not as restricted, who's to say that it won't get taken advantage of? Restricting the private chat is a smart move, I think, and I fully support that idea. Of course, there are workarounds, but at least the intention is made clear. I'm well aware that some people may slip through the cracks. That's unfortunately how life is. I know this is not a perfect system, but I am really glad that Woozworld is doing something about it. If you are under 16 and you are upset, I get it. I'm not saying what I'm saying just so that I lose whatever younger audience I may have. I'm saying this as someone who was once 16 and under, and who was in some awful situations that could have been prevented, even partially, if there were such rules in place. I get it if you're upset and feel undermined, if you feel talked down to or underestimated or judged, even, for something that's out of your control. But keep in mind that one day you will be above 16 years old, and I guarantee you, in a few more years, you will be thankful for whatever rules had been put in place for your own safety. Perhaps you could check out my video on how to stay safe online, just for good measure. This is where my video is going to get a little bit more serious, and so take this as a little bit of a warning. When it comes to the alarming comments that I saw a particular name pop up a couple of times, and there were mostly jokes about, oh, this person will no longer get to do what they have been doing. Now, I cannot confirm that this is the same person, but going 2 to 3 years back, there was an individual called Misty, if I remember correctly, also referred to as Granny by some people, and they were known to be blunt, perverted, and very problematic. Through requests, sometimes even demands, this person would have others dress in a particular way, if you know what I mean. This, what you see on the screen right now, is a comment that was left on one of my older videos, and even back then, I was warned about this person and the things they have been engaging in. Once again, I cannot confirm whether this is the same person, but it is my personal opinion that it is. Which makes me sad, because there have been far too many situations that shouldn't have taken place and that should have resulted in a permanent ban. I do believe that this person was banned and had an entire account suspended, but it does seem like they've made another one, and that's always a risk. Sometimes you simply cannot get someone off the internet. It's really not that easy to do. But I do believe that Woozworld should investigate this person, look into their chats. I'm sure they're able to. If these changes make it more difficult for these people to do this, I'm all for them. And overall, I do think that this is a wonderful change, which Woozworld was destined to make. Well, that was all for me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I have been thinking about coming back to the Woozworld YouTube. It's been a while, honestly. I've not really been playing much, but maybe this is my calling. I have noticed that I have a tendency to come back to the game exactly as big news drop, and I don't have anybody else that I talk to in my day-to-day life that would have alerted me to this, so it's just timing and fate, perhaps, just chance. So we'll see how this goes. But I would like to thank you once again for watching my video, and I hope you have a great day or night depending on where you are, and I'll see you later. Bye guys.